Dumelani sanibonani ninjani molweni avuxeni thobela nda. Guys, I'm here with, if you have registered criminology, if you have registered forensic, if you have registered LLB, whether high certificate, diploma, you are doing introduction to law. This module, I'll be giving an overview of this module. So this is ILW1501. Don't be confused, guys. This is a ILW1036. However, if you can check, this module is the same thing, right? You can check this module is the same thing. Yes, it's the same thing. So if you have done ILW1036 and if you have done ILW1501, this means that you have done the same module. You don't need to repeat any module if you have done this too, because it's the same thing. Now let me start to give you some overview about this module, the introduction to law, ILW1501, what to expect, and the thing that you must read, which are important in order for you to continue to with your studies, with the knowledge. The most crucial aspect of law is to know authoritative sources of law. It will help you when you are doing some researches. It will help you when you are a lawyer, when you're an advocate or attorney. It will help you because in law, we only deal with authoritative sources of law. Yes, we'll also talk about those who that has influence in the court, such as foreign law. But now we have to start with the authoritative sources of law because they are crucial. Sorry for the noise, guys, outside. I hope that I'll try to turn the noise down outside using my things here. So, guys, we are talking about authoritative sources of law, and then here is a legal. We talk about things that are happening out there. We don't mock anybody. We just state things and how you can solve such a problem. So we have a Mrs. Zulu wife who is divorcing him. It's out happening out there. He approaches you as a lawyer seeking for legal assistance. Mrs. Zulu is of opinion that royal families cannot divorce in South Africa because it is against their culture. What you will do as a lawyer. Now you are a lawyer, what you will do in that instances. We are talking about what? Authoritative sources of a law. Firstly, what you will do, number one, you will look at the primary source of a law. The primary source of a law is statute. Statute, or which say legislation. Right? Legislation, it means that you will go and look into the Divorce Act. What Divorce Act says. So after looking at the Divorce Act, then you have looked at the first authoritative source of law, which is a statute, which is a legislation, right? It's a rightful legislation because it's dealing with divorce. Then you will go and look into Divorce Act. Then maybe you find that the problem that you are dealing with is not on the legislation. There is something like that. It means that that problem could be maybe have decided in the court case by the court. Therefore, number two, you look for the court cases as a lawyer. Court cases. Court cases, we have something we call judicial precedent. Judicial precedent means that the high courts are bound by the decision, the lower courts are bound by the decision of the high court. If the high court has taken the decision, it means that that decision will bind the lower court. If the Supreme Court of Appeal has taken decision, that decision will bind high court and magistrate court. If the Constitutional Court has taken the decision is binding to all courts in South Africa. So we call this a judicial precedent. Don't forget that. Then number two, you look for the court cases. Then maybe you find that there is no court cases that's been with the family, royal families not divorcing. Then it means that number three, you will go for what? You will go for customary law. You will look into the customary law, which we can call African indigenous law. Oh, let me put it here. We can call it African indigenous law. Then you look at the customary law, whether this thing has been practiced in South Africa How many is it existing? You look at the other cultures also, and you look at the Zulu culture, whether they've been practicing this. Is it a practice that is normally? Is it a practice still? Is it still practiced? So you look at this through the customary law or African indigenous law, which is another sources of a law. Or maybe you go to the fourth one. Maybe you will be seeking a remedy and you find that there's no remedy on the statute which you may be seeking. Therefore, you will go for Roman Dutch law. Roman Dutch law are often called common law. So you will go for common law, which we classify them as a Roman Dutch law. You will learn about this when you continue with your studies. So these are the sources of the law which you will be looking for. Or maybe, I forgot number one, maybe you may be again not finding anyone. Then you will also look at the international law. International law. So these are the sources of the law. These are the sources of the law. Then you may ask yourself, where are these sources derive its power in the Constitution? Yes, these sources of the law are in the Constitution. Therefore, when you are going throughout with the studies, when you are studying LLB, when you are doing research, you will be focusing on these sources of the law. Please focus on these sources of the law. Do your research focusing on these all sources of the law. But firstly, you look at the legislation. Then secondly, you look at the court cases. Then you may be looking at this based on the question, right? As I've said, all these sources, authoritatives, are deriving from the section 39 of the Constitution, which is the interpretation of a Bill of Rights, right? They said that when interpreting any legislation, when developing the common law or customary law, every court tribunal must promote the spirit, purport, and object of the Bill of Rights. And then they said when interpreting the Bill of Rights, a court tribunal or forum must promote the value underlying the democratic and must consider international law and may consider foreign law. It means that foreign law it's just have influence. It is not authoritative. Those has no authoritative. They just have a merely influence on the decision. But the only thing that we deal with the legislation, which is number one. We deal with the common law. We deal with the court cases. We deal with the customary law. Those are the international law. Those are the sources of the law that you must never forget about when you are studying LLB. Another important thing that you must never forget is the main divisions of a law. You must know these divisions by heart. Number one, we have public and private law. So we have a public and we have a private law. Those are the two main divisions of the law, public and private law. You must know that a public law is between state and the individual. Let me try to put this one. It's between state and individual, whereas private is between individual and individual. So it means that these are the dispute between state and individual. This is the relationship or a dispute between individuals and other individual or other individual. In order to understand this, I'll give you scenarios so that you understand. Now, let's look at this scenario. Tembi was arrested for arson. He set alight Mr. Tabo's house. Mr. Tabo wants Tembi to compensate for damage, right? Now, identify the public and private law in this scenario. It means that we said that public law deals with the state, versus individual. It means that if Tembi is charged with arson, or is committed arson, it means that Tembi will be arrested. When Tembi is arrested, this matter is between state and Tembi. This means that the arrestant, the committing of arson falls under public law, right? Now, we have Mr. Tabo who wants also the compensation for the building or for the property that Tembi has set alight. It means that when Mr. Tabo wants the compensation, this matter is between Mr. Tabo and Tembi. So the compensation in this regard, the compensation will fall under private law, which Mr. With Mr. Tabo will apply the principle or the element of delict so that Tembi could compensate him. So I hope that, I hope that you get a legal knowledge about this one, even though we are still gonna talk. So let's tackle the multiple choice questions because you are still gonna get some questions about multiple choice questions. So it's very much important that we tackle some, you're able to see some of the questions, how they ask and how to answer such a question. Okay, I'll be running a little bit faster so that you can actually, I'm starting question number 2. Question number 1, I won't be starting because I will have to teach you about the substantive law and procedural law. So this one, I will have the day to teach you about this thing because it's so crucial in the law, because you'll be doing this when you are doing CPR, criminal procedure, and when you are doing civil procedure. So it's very much important that I teach you this one. So we'll start with the one, the right to enter into a contract is called the capacity, which is the same thing when we are doing what that module mean? The law of person. You will learn about the right to enter into a contract is called capacity. A person must have a capacity to enter into a contract. Therefore, a minor cannot enter into a contract. Children under the age of 7 cannot enter into a contract together with a minor because they don't have a capacity to enter into a contract. Their guardian will enter on their behalf. So we have number 3, which says that Peter and James are in grade 11 and play soccer for the first team of their school. During a soccer match with another school, Peter misses a goal. James is furious about this and punches Peter in the face. James infringed on the following right granted to Peter in terms of private law. We have a personality right, we have a real right, we have a personal right, and we have intellectual property right. Intellectual property right deals with the work that you have done, just like me, maybe doing this work, and then someone decided to copy this one. And then a personal right is a right to performance. You will learn this when we are doing property law, where you will be performing. For example, if you are renting somewhere, each and every month you'll be paying. It means that you have a personal right. So as I've said, that the personal right you learn more when you are doing the property right, property law. And then real right also, you learn much when you're doing a property law. Real right is anything that you have ownership of. So if you own the phone, you have a real right over the phone. If you own the house, you have a real right over the phone. Personality right is the right to physical integrity. Your integrity should be respected. Therefore, in this question, the person fails to respect the integrity of other person, which violates the personality right. Now, let's keep this one. It's more of a history. I will teach you about this history one of the days. In a court decision, obiter dictum is found where, then I will teach you about the obiter dictum, and then I will teach you the difference between obiter dictum and the ratio decidendi. It will be the day that I will teach you this one. But for now, just know that obiter dictum is just casual remarks that are made by the judge during the court proceeding. It has no influence in the decision of the court, in the judgment. And then ratio decidendi is the reason for the decision. Therefore, number D is an odd one out. is not part of the Obiter dictum. Okay, we'll look at this one. We'll look at this question. Okay, let me just say that we'll stop here, guys, because there are many. And if you have a question, you can still come and ask me. So lastly, guys, there are a lot of scammers outside. I've already said that you must WhatsApp me on 061 984 2135 so that you can be added to the WhatsApp channel of the ILW so that you can able to ask me. Guys, you must authenticate. You know, there are people who said that, maybe I have you written for me such this thing, or you have done this for me, or I just hear some people saying that I've written portfolio for them, but I have never talked to them, or they have never called me, or any video call me. Guys, it's me here. If you want to talk to me, you authenticate. You call me, and then we talk, right? You will find me, you'll find this voice, not just talking to whoever you want to talk to. Yes, this number you might talk to my admin, but you must know that after talking to one of my admin, you have to authenticate with me so that I know that it's you, right? Have a nice day, guys. I will be also coming with other videos. It's gonna be fun 2025.